Buonasera, buenas tardes, bonsoir et bonjour. Kym?
Jumbo, Habariako.
Ooh, you added another one. Welcome to Vinyl Junkies, episode 33 with the very knowledgeable and brainy Kym Skiles. Dude, I know I dude you a lot, but I have so much fun. Dude me back, you know, it'll make me feel less fucking brain dead. I've been having so much fun. This is what, our third episode together. I get up for this stuff, man. Getting up out of the bed, it's so much fun to nerd out. And one of the differences that I found was, like in our first show, we hadn't done it together, so we never took into consideration, like for me, what makes this so much fun now is, we never took into consideration the fact that we'd be planning the week together and kind of reading the same things in order to put together a show for everyone.
Yeah, I think it helps just having at least a little kind of notes to make things a little more succinct, because both of us can just ramble and tangent ourselves to death. So, you know, it definitely helps.
The thing is that it's a lot more than that. Actually, you know, considering that this is a vinyl-centric show, and, you know, I always contend that vinyl is about the experience. I think that this show is about the experience, both for the viewers and listeners, and for us. Because, man, we're having a good time. We're capturing a space and time and talking about, you know, this music that we love. So, it's kind of cool that it's become a part of my vinyl routine, right? Because what am I doing? When we're reading the same stuff and coordinating our notes, what are we doing ultimately? We're spinning records, aren't we?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Always. Yeah. So, you know, I'm even appreciating these little things like the pregame. You know, that's only been the second week, but just, you know, I put on a record that runs through the board and we just listen to it and start talking, you know, kind of get warmed up. And what we were listening to before Kym and I was I Love You Honey Bear by Father John Misty. A whole conversation ensued about that. I'd certainly love to hear what you guys have to think on that topic, but the reason it is that I wound up getting to that Father John Misty is because you know all about spine porn, right? Obviously.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like put all the impulse together, put all the org together, put all the
and light you see that like orange and black or and it just, white and whatever.
It just feels nice, you know. And I used to do that with my Vinyl Me Please catalog, and a good while ago, I would say, is it a year or more than a year? It's got to be maybe more than a year. What they did was they used to have kind of like this wraparound thing, okay, that was white with the name of the album and the edition and stuff just typewritten on the side. So although it was a huge pain in the ass, it gave a certain uniformity to that entire catalog. And it had gotten so that I had almost completed an entire Expedit cube. And it's like, oh, cool, you know? So that's a nice thing to have. It's kind of like I got my Impulse, I got my Org, I got my Deutsche Grammophon, and I thought I'd have exactly the same thing with VMP. But just over a year ago, I forgot when, but they did away with the wrap thing. And ultimately, listen, it was a big pain in the ass, like I said, but it gave... Here, actually, I have an example. This thing here, okay, you're going to be able to see it just during the show, and... see, what it did is it made the spines kind of like all uniform. So when you put them all together, they'd look really nice. And now that's not the case. Now every record just looks like every record. So it all of a sudden got clunky, right? There was a VMP cube. And now there's no VMP cube anymore because that uniformity is gone. So what I wound up doing this morning is just taking apart my entire VMP cube and just storing... you know, Jay Dilla where it belongs and Lee Perry where it belongs.
You took them away from each other and put them into the collection?
Yeah, you know, put the, you know, just, and all of these records that I had listened to over the years, Fortet, Perfume Genius, they did a lot of good records, you know. But as I was doing that, Father John Misty, said, okay, let me put it on. And here we are listening to it, and it kind of gets to the conversation we were having just before. Do you want to have the Father John?
I don't have any Father John Misty, and I like the music when I hear it, but it's just there's other stuff that I'm more interested in. He seems interesting when he does interviews and things like that. So I mean, I know I have a lot of friends that are way into him, like into him like nobody else as far as new music goes. Okay. So that's good. I mean, he's doing something right.
He is. And look, the thing is that I have all 3 of the records. And as far as I know, the last record, Pure Comedy, won a Grammy Award, and it had all this super, this super packaging and stuff. And it's not like I don't want to listen to it. I do want to listen to this stuff. But I put it on the pool mix. 3 weeks later, I didn't want it on the pool mix anymore.
Really?
It just, nah, man. I don't know. What I liked about, I realized 2 things when it comes to Father John Misty. The first thing I realize is that I'm not a fan of Father John Misty. I'm a fan of I Love You, Honey Bear. I think that's
really beautiful.
A fucking brilliant record. And he really, the orchestrations are really nice, and you got to hand it to him for that. And the way he weaves the words and he delivers them, there's really, there's an artistry there, and it's great. But, you kind of forgive the entire fucking affected thing that he has that makes me completely crazy. Like, that's just not somebody. He behaves his persona. He's putting it on, supposedly, right? His persona is not the type of persona I would vibe with at a party. It's the type of... Sorry, go ahead.
Part of that is, like, you affect a persona, and it comes from a true source, obviously. But if you live in that persona and then everybody treats you as that persona, then that persona becomes you, instead of it being just aspects of your personality or your quirkiness or whatever.
Yeah, well...
You know what I mean? Like,
oh, no, I certainly know what you mean, but I think that that's absolutely wrong. I think that that's completely misguided. Oh, sure, man, and I can offer up the perfect example. And you know what? It just so happens that I have the perfect record to show. The man who made this record here, Alice Cooper. This actually is the very first Alice Cooper record I ever owned.
But Alice Cooper didn't take himself seriously.
Oh, no. That's where you're wrong. That's where you're absolutely wrong. Alice Cooper was not able to distinguish between the character Alice Cooper and the human being Vincent Furnier. The lines got crossed, much like David Bowie and a lot of these guys. The lines got crossed, and it spiraled him so far out of control that he nearly killed himself. At one point, the guy weighed 100 pounds. If you'd see some of that 80s stuff, he looked like he was going to die.
Yeah, I just think that he matured.
That's right.
He got through that part, which is not a level of maturity. If you're going through something like that, it's not a matter of maturity. There's other stuff going on there.
Well,
but getting through that, and then, I mean, when you see him now...
Yeah, but you'll notice something now, right? Sorry, if I interrupted, finish it? No. Okay, you'll notice a big difference now. Okay, I've read like a couple of biographies from him, including like Golf Monster, which, when he talks about golf, it bores me. But one thing that happened with him is when he got committed to an asylum and all of that stuff was going on and he came back healthy, right? You'll notice that in his interviews, he speaks about Alice in the third person. And he very specifically talks to the character. And there's a separation between the human guy, Vincent Furnier, and Alice Cooper, which didn't exist before.
Right.
And actually, he attributes that to his like he found Jesus.
Well, I mean, if it works for him, good.
It's working for him, man. Have you seen him perform lately?
Yeah, I have, actually. A couple years ago.
He's still amazing, isn't he?
Yeah, I love Alice Cooper. I mean, he's so awesome.
He's perfect.
I'm trying to think of other examples like that. Bowie went in and out of personas and becoming that persona.
Yeah, and he nearly died in the process, right?
Yeah, that's why he had to go to Berlin and straighten out with Iggy Pop, which is a strange place and person to go sober up with. But it worked, so...
Hey, it made great stories, which actually reminds me, if you want to, have you listened to any of the reissues of the David Bowie stuff?
Oh, which one of the millions are we talking about? Like Station to Station?
Yeah, that's actually the one I just showed on camera. It came in. Did I interrupt the thought, or do you want to kind of...
No, I'm fine.
What do you think of the reissues?
They're really nice. I mean, the ones that I've heard so far, I haven't heard all of them. I want the new Low, although I already have 2 copies of Low.
I don't have a single copy of it. I don't have Heroes. I don't have Low. And I just got Station to Station for the first time, and it's a nice slab. 180 gram vinyl. The remastering sounds very, very nice, so it sounds good for vinyl. The jacket's pretty flimsy. There's nothing too special to the jacket, and I'm just having a look here. No, there's no liner notes to speak of either. So, from that perspective, it kind of sucks a little bit, but they sound great.
But like, I collected Bowie primarily in the 80s, and I still pick him up here and there. But, some of my copies are pretty noisy, so it's nice to hear something that's like really quiet and not snap, crackle, pop. Not that I mind that most of the time, but it's I'm so used to that when I hear nothing but the music, it's nice.
You know what I like?
What?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I say you need Low. You need Low.
Well, I fully cop to not being a Bowie aficionado. That's to say, I have a lot of Bowie, okay? But I'm more familiar with Bowie's later period. For me, Earthling and onwards is really where it's like, holy fuck, man, this guy completely, he just took the sounds of today and completely made them his, and I really loved the fact that he was just able to move from one thing to another. And when I was discovering that particular period, right, I didn't know Bowie any more than the hits, and were the same hits being played to me over and over and over and over. So that overkill kind of it created a barrier to me actually going into the record and listening to it the way it's supposed to, right? Side one, song one, all the way to the end. And when I got into vinyl, that's exactly what it is that I did. I kind of threw that thing that I had where I couldn't listen to Bowie, or I couldn't listen to the Beatles, and I still can't listen to a lot of Led Zeppelin. And listen,
because you're so overkilled.
Yeah, right. And listen to what they did the way they meant it to be heard, which is to say, song one right to the end.
Right. Albums,
and makes a difference, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
Huge
difference, especially when it comes. I mean, all of us that we just mentioned, but yeah, Bowie in particular, especially the Berlin albums, are very much an experience. Well, there's a song on that Low, Warzawa,
okay,
that's mostly instrumental, that is the most beautiful, haunting thing. It may be my favorite Bowie song.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
I Can't Give Everything Away is probably my favorite Bowie song. Oh, yeah. That song fucking hits me in the feels, man. Yeah, he's fucking great, and the fact I'm actually really happy that I don't know a lot of Bowie. I really am, because I know that I'm speaking to a Bowie fanatic, and I know, think about it, man. Think about being able to experience these classic catalogs for the first time. I've never heard Low from beginning to end. Never.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a first time headphones or really loud kind of by yourself, no distractions.
As a matter of fact, I would go even actually no, not headphones, because to me I like to soundstage just sounds better like over the speakers. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the first listen, but yeah, definitely sit down and all. But I also want to make sure whenever I get a copy of Low that I don't look at the song titles. I don't want to look at the song titles because I don't know what hits are on it, And I don't want to know. You follow what I'm saying? It's kind of like, oh, okay, there's 2 songs I don't know, and then it comes to the hit. I don't want to know anything whatsoever. I'm going to put the thing down, maybe look at the cover, but not look at the track sequence, because I just want to experience the music for the first time and kind of put myself in that zone of... I want to be able to feel what you guys feel, man. I see the fanaticism that's happened around Bowie, and I mean, I like it. I've always had Bowie records, but you guys are fanatical. There's so many people that are fanatical, man.
Yeah, he was always number 1 for me. I love him.
Favorite artist?
And my artist or band?
Artist, band, yeah.
Well, okay, he's my favorite all-time overarching artist. My favorite all-time band is Cocteau Twins. But my favorite current working, living, everything is Nick Cave. So,
see, that's
like
fun.
most music junkies, I have to like delineate and categorize, because, you know, I can go my favorite metal band, but my favorite overarching artist of all time is Bowie, and then right below him is Nick Cave, but band is Cocteau Twins. So.
What's going to be fun about our continued shows together is that I don't know the Cocteau Twins. And I know that post-punk is a big thing with you, a lot of the UK bands and stuff. I don't connect to any of that. I don't, but I've never really listened to it in the proper context and everything, right? Because I build my collection, I guess, like most people, as the soundtrack to your life. You know, right. I very, very much like the idea of being able to pick an album or a song or an artist for absolutely every mood imaginable. You know, that's why the collection will never stop growing.
It's like in High Fidelity when he's sitting there organizing it, and the other guy's like, how are you organizing it? And eventually it gets to autobiographically. That's how I collect music, is autobiographically.
Yeah, but you don't file it autobiographically. That would make no fucking sense. Or do you?
There's a few stacks here that are autobiographic, but no, not the whole collection. And no. But there are a few like stacks that are, this was this, and yeah, it's kind of autobiographically. I love that line though. It's so, I mean, any kind of vinyl collector is going to be like, oh my God, that's impossible, but I kind of want to do it.
That's impossible. I lose records all the time. There's no chance in the world I'd be able to get through that.
Yeah, I held it up when we were talking earlier. It's like, I forgot that I even had that. Whoa.
Actually, it's funny because, you know what? There is a certain way. It's not the right way or the fun way kind of thing, but there is a virtual way to collect autobiographically. I just thought of it. Discogs tabulates whenever you entered all of your records. So I think, I'm not sure. I should ask Jeffrey. We did a show yesterday on Discogs on some new filters. I wonder if you can just check the records according to the date that you entered them, and that will give you autobiographical.
You can. And that would work if you're just starting out, but like I'm constantly adding stuff that I just got, and then I'm still working on my back catalog of the things that I never entered.
If you had to guess, how many records do you think you have not entered yet?
1,500, maybe. 1,500.
Wow, that's more than
1,000.
1,000 for sure. Yeah, for me, 1,000, 1,200 need to be put in.
I'm
on it all the time. I'm on it all the time. But
I am too, and I used to be. Anyway, it's never ending. I will get there because it's worth it. It just, I'm back cataloged. I mean, I work in a record store. I bring home a lot of vinyl at the end of the week, every week.
And it always feels good.
Plus, if I go dig. Plus, yeah. Well, every Friday is Christmas.
Discogs, I enjoy. Excuse me. I enjoy doing the show. Motherfucker. Ooh.
Medic.
Yeah, that feels nice though. I enjoy doing the shows with Jeffrey and Discogs. We nerd out in a completely different way, and I think one of the things that's so much fun is we bring out different parts of each other's characters, and with those characters I can't wait to discover post-punk Kym And I'm not sure I'm ever going to fit in like you and me. I'm not sure that crossover will ever happen. Doesn't mean I don't want to know it. You know?
Well, the stuff that you feel strongest about is the stuff that you did as a teenager or your 20s or whatever. So it's autobiographical for me, the post-punk stuff. And it won't necessarily, well, I mean, you can make it part of it, but it may not resonate as deeply with you as it does with me, just because of the time frame and the period and the emotions and whatever was going on when I was listening to that stuff at the beginning. So,
well, look, I mean, I was kind of wondering if I was going to go there or if our conversation was going to go there, but pardon me. You and I always have this conversation, it's kind of like, what did you listen to this week is one of the ways that we, kind of get the show going. And the only record I just kept thinking about was Harvest Moon. It came in finally.
I don't have it yet.
You don't have it yet. Well, yeah, that's listening to it brings a lot of feelings. The Record Store Day copy, but I didn't even realize how much, because I used to play that record a lot. I know every note of that. And, when I think about it, when was it released? Like 93, 92? So that made me 20.
Right around there.
Right. It made me 22, 23 years old. And it's just, I didn't want to be alive. Nobody gave a fuck, and I was angry, and I couldn't figure any of it out. Life was too much. It was too fucking overwhelming that I wasn't even at painful. I was at angry and painful below that. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, music is what gets us through those moments. And I listened to a lot of beautiful music during very turbulent times. Yeah, that Neil record, I put it on, and it took me back to that. And it's almost like, how they say that you store acid in the fatty deposits of your body, right? Yeah. So when you get the acid flashback. Yeah, it's almost like that kind of music flashback that I put it on, and it contrasted so starkly with where I am right now, where I have a loving wife, I have a loving, I know you and me care about each other, a lot of friends, and I'm listening to this music, and it's the same beautiful music, but it's just, you realize that it's that kind of a thing that kind of sustains you, and it's the calm, in the storm. Yeah. So even though you don't know where you're headed, or, there's just turmoil everywhere, and it's just that music somehow does make a difference. And I'm even surprised at my reaction right now. I mean, what is it now, fucking 15, 20 years since I've heard this? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what vinyl does, man.
It's interesting that one's for you. Some of the Cocteau Twins is like that for me.
Okay.
It's like a musical lifeboat.
Yeah, that's a good word.
It's the savior. Yeah, when I was listening to a lot of Cocteau Twins, I was going through a lot of stuff. I had a really abusive relationship. I was real young, like, 18, 19. And that music young. Is what I clung to. I clung to the Cocteau Twins. Mm. So even now when I listen to them, and I do listen to them, but man, you feel that. Yeah, it's hard not to cry when you listen to that stuff.
Yeah, but there's a difference, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, it's like...
It's not the same kind of cry.
No, it's not the same kind of cry.
See, this is the kind of cry from a man who's about to become 48 years old and has put all of that behind him, and is doing what he loves in life. I just decided, fuck it. I'm going to stay in my pajamas and be who I am and just do what I love, because there's not enough road left. There isn't, man. There isn't. You gotta just do what you're meant to do, man. Follow it. And I decided, no matter what, that's what's happening. And here you are. You're with me. And I'm so proud to have you with me, because boom, man. Dude, our first show together, 160,000 views. Our second show together is what, at 116,000 now?
Is it really?
Yeah, man. I'm happy about that. I'm glad that people feel that, because that's what we're trying to do here. This community, you guys in your comments, You're the third part of this conversation. You can't be here right now, and we'd like very much to get callers in, and we will. We will. It's coming. But I don't know, man. I know most of my life I didn't have too many people to nerd out on music with, so this whole thing is pretty cool, man.
Speaking of nerding out on music,
yeah,
and what I've been listening to, I thought about it too. I've been all over the place this week. I mean, you name the genre, I was probably there. But the new Ministry is released, the America Can't.
How is it?
Album.
Have you heard it?
I've watched 2 of the videos. I don't have it yet, but I watched the 2 released videos. One of them's like Warmonger, and I can't remember where, the Twilight Zone or something. So I think it's Twilight Zone.
Okay.
That video, like, it's really long, and the music doesn't really kick in until about 4 minutes. And there's a lot of sampling. I mean, you know, everybody knows Uncle Al is like super freaking political.
Yeah,
which is fine.
He's got
Whatever.
shit to say. There's no doubt.
He's got shit to say, and we need people saying shit. So
sure.
Anyway, but that song and the Warmonger song, man, there are definite tastes of old Ministry. I don't think
which period Ministry. Land of Rape and Honey or Psalm 69.
No.
Don't play any. We're gonna get taken down.
No, I'm not going to.
Oh, okay.
Land of Rape and Honey and my favorite Ministry.
Mind is a terrible thing.
The Mind is a terrible thing to taste.
That's crazy.
There's a little bit of, I mean, if you listen to them, you're gonna hear, like, I don't know where the harmonica came in, but that's cool. But there's definitely some Thieves taste in that first song, the Twilight. I hope I'm saying that right. I think it's the Twilight Zone. Anyway, because that's coming out, I watched the videos earlier this week and read up about it. It kind of put me into an industrial mode.
Okay.
So I listened to all the Skinny Puppy I have, which is like 4 albums, and then I've been listening to a lot of Ministry. So I started yesterday. I hadn't listened to this in a little bit, but With Sympathy Ministry.
I don't have that one.
That's the first Ministry, and God, I love that album. But it is straight up like synth pop, new wave. Al has a fake English accent, dance club stuff. It's not the Ministry. It's not your mom's Ministry. Actually, it is your mom's Ministry. So yeah, if you guys are only kind of familiar with Ministry of being like hard industrial and him being all pierced and freaked out, there are videos for songs that are on With Sympathy, and wow, and we used to dance to that in the clubs. I love that album, but it is not industrial at all.
During my metalhead years, we used to dance to that as well. As a matter of fact, during those metalhead years, I would go to these metal clubs here in Montreal with a former vinyl, not a former, but with a local vinyl junkie, Joe Mihalik. We live very close to each other now. We met up after years. Like, we met in maybe 1990 at a Death Angel concert. And spent a bunch of years going to clubs together and stuff, and next thing you know, he's living right close to me, and we met up through Vinyl Junkies, and our kids play together now, right?
That's cool.
So we used to go to these clubs around here that were the metal clubs, and they played so much Ministry. But again, that's why I asked, which period Ministry? Because it's like, The Mind is a terrible thing to taste, and what's it called? And the one, Psalm 69. And Psalm 69.
Also, Land of Rape and I got it backwards. Sorry, this is a promo. Land of Rape and Honey, which Drastic Plastic has a reissue of this that's really good. If you don't know Drastic Plastic label, Google Drastic Plastic, I think .com or whatever. Okay. They've been reissuing some of the Ministry stuff, and they've done a really good job at it. But I have this. This is an original promo, but they have that. But this is my favorite. Is The Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste.
Have you ever seen a holograph cover of that record?
I have.
Stoughton Printing made that, and I got to see it when I visited their factory. I've seen it. Holy moly, man. They do that lenticular thing. I don't know, man. I'm torn between the gimmickry of all of that stuff and the fact that some people really do a great job with it.
my God, you know, I'm with you. There's some stuff is so gimmicky, but man, I love Lenticular and the who's putting those out? The Parliament Funkadelic Lenticular covers?
Yeah, those are the back to the basics, right? That's the back to the basics issue. The reissues, yeah, sure. Because Erykah Badu's on that. There's the DJ, what's his name there? That Jazzy Jeff there.
Yeah, those lenticular ones. And my husband found the first one. It was Dr. Funkenstein. He found it in like a Barnes and Noble. He's like, "Did you see this?" And he held it up, and he was doing like the lenticular thing, and I just about tackled him to the ground to get that. Yeah, they're doing several. They've got like 3 or 4 of them. I guess they're doing all those Parliament records.
No, but it's not only that. They did that with hip hop too. Like NWA had some lenticular covers as well.
I love that. It's so. Again, I'm not real big on a lot of gimmicks, but I will straight up tackle a unicorn to get my hands on a lenticular cover. If it's a band that I like, I want it.
You remember the first lenticular cover you ever saw?
Rolling Stones?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh my God, what is that album called? I can picture it.
Satanic Majesty's Request.
Yeah, that's the first one I remember.
No, it's funny because the thing that I went to immediately was the Tool CD, Anima, and then it's like, oh, wait a second, you're right. Yeah, I remember, for me it would be the Captain Beyond first record.
Yeah, too. That one too.
I don't care if I get lenticular or not, I just want a copy of the record. It's one of those, I want it, man.
Yeah, like I always want Parliament. I can't leave a Parliament record even though I've got multiple. I don't buy multiple copies of very many things, but there's a couple things I can't leave if I see them. Parliament's one of them.
That was the absolute first order of priority was rebuilding my funk collection. So within the first 6 months, I had sold off a bunch of CDs, crates of them, and got to replacing all of the Parliament and all of the Funkadelic catalog immediately on point. Like there were some catalogs where it's like, I'm not fucking around. There's one problem though. There was one, I wouldn't call it a regret because I still got to listen to them, but a lot of the records back then were Scorpio pressings. They're real cheap knockoffs. And it's a CD. Like, I mean, there's one record, a Che record I have, Brant Bjork. Right?
Yeah.
Kaius. Okay, one of his side projects is Che, like Che Guevara.
Right.
And I had it on vinyl, and it was cheap. Bought it, and you literally hear the you literally hear the digital fuck up on the record. Like these guys didn't even go. These guys didn't even go through the trouble of saying, "Hey, you know what? We got to make new masters. This doesn't work." So, when I started rebuilding my catalog, I had a lot of that Scorpio stuff, and I still do. And the Parliament, now I'm still looking for either original or I'm looking for really good reissues because I still have Scorpio pressings. How are those? The Back to the Basics ones there.
It's Back to the Basics with somebody else, isn't it?
I'm wondering.
I'm sorry,
I'm wondering because you're right? Like one was the funk thing, and then the other side was is the hip hop thing, but I'm wondering, because that lenticular thing started happening all at the same time, a couple of years back. So
yeah, I don't know. It's not.
It's not a coincidence that there's two different things happening on the hip hop side and on the funk, soul R&B side.
Well, also in that little like Maggot Brain, you can get that on whatever label that is, or you can get it on Four Men with a Beard. Four Men with a Beard has a lot of the
horrible
Funkadelic. Catalog. Do they have Parliament too?
No.
They have just Funkadelic, right?
They have just Funkadelic, all of it, and Funkadelic reissues are very, very, very sorely needed. Very sorely needed. Yeah. I have a couple of original Westbound. I've got
maybe it's Westbound.
Westbound is I have Free Your Mind and Your Ass Will Follow. Original, and I have Maggot Brain original for sure.
I have an original Maggot Brain, but it's really bad. So I when I saw a reissue of it 2 years ago, whenever that was, I just immediately bought it, and then I realized it was Four Men with a Beard. And not to knock them endlessly because they do put out some good stuff.
They're
hit or miss. They're hit or miss. And you know, when it's however much money it is for those, and it's hit or miss, it makes me nervous. Like, I want to talk to people before I put the money
I don't want to, you know, records are expensive now, so I want a certain quality. And I mean, you look at that, there's no doubt. You know, there's no place for Scorpio pressings anymore. There's just not. Fuck, I had something to follow up with. Continue the conversation. Continue the thread. This is interesting, Kym. You're an interesting person.
Thank you. So anyway, yeah, I listened to a lot of Ministry, and, you know, and all the industrial stuff, which led me, I listened to a little bit of KMFDM and Oysters in the Noi Mountain.
Drug Against War.
But man, that Ministry, that A Mind is a Terrible Thing to Taste, I saw them twice on that tour. Like, I followed them, I think maybe from Tulsa to Dallas or something like that.
Ever see Pigface?
Yeah, I've seen, Pigface. If it was industrial, I really, I was there. Like,
Thousand Homo DJs?
Yeah, definitely.
Those were all for Fun Electric
like,
shows here, sure.
You know, like Thrill Kill Cult, and if you want to go, just other like Wax Tracks kind of bands. Like, I love that stuff. I love all music, but I love that stuff. It just, I can't keep still, and I want to just, I don't know, stomp around and change the world and dance while I'm doing it when I listen to that stuff.
With me, I think if it's noisy, I like it, but the problem that I had with all of that, and again, I mean, realize that I'm going with limited knowledge, so like I'm looking forward to hearing this stuff and kind of hearing it through the way you hear it, but it's almost like a lot of the UK stuff, well, just music in general in the 80s was so synthesized and clean, and it was all about digital, and, you know, you had those fucking drums, and everything was about getting that type of a production, and it's just not a sound that appealed to me. I like dirty and fuzzy a lot more, which is why my favorite period is 65 to 75. There's a lot of dirty, fuzzy music. So when a lot of that 80s stuff was happening, I was a metalhead, and I didn't gear towards that. Of course, there were some crossovers, right? So you got something like The Cult Love, which is a pretty obvious crossover, or, you know, even Dreamtime is the album with Horse Nation on it.
Yes.
Yeah, it is Dreamtime. It's Dreamtime. Yes. You know, all of that stuff, you know, there's those crossover bands. So with the stuff that you're talking about, KMFDM was a crossover band because it appealed to the metalhead in me as well. You know what I'm saying?
Ministry, I think, was a big crossover band once they started going, when it wasn't with Sympathy or fake English accent, Uncle Al.
Filth Pig.
Even Twitch was getting kind of dirtier, but yeah, I love that stuff. And I listened to a lot of metal back then. I listened to a lot of punk at that time too, but I also dearly love synth pop stuff. I mean, I can give you the lyrics to every Duran Duran song there is. I love that stuff too. Yeah,
that's pool mix. That's pool mix music. There's always some Duran Duran in that.
I love Duran Duran, and they still keep going. That John Taylor on bass, man, that guy can play bass.
Yeah, I've kind of developed a little bit of an appreciation, a reappreciation. Going back to, you know, the idea of singles versus just listening to the album the way it's meant, I've developed a reappreciation for the Police. And gotten back to my Synchronicity records and Zanyana Mondara and all that early stuff, and liked it a whole lot. And it's exactly the same thing. If you play the record the way it was meant to play, and everything just happens when it's supposed to, it very much does change the experience, because your entire context is out, right? Like, the thing with me, radio, is like, I don't, even satellite radio, man. Dude, if you listen to, what's that fucking metal one there that they have? Ozzy's Boneyard.
Okay, I don't have any satellite radio, so.
Well, I got satellite radio for Stern, okay? But there's a whole bunch of other stuff, and Ozzy's Boneyard is kind of like the hard and heavy metal. Okay, and then there's liquid metal, which gets even heavier than that, right? If you listen to this liquid metal, I swear to God, it's the same 25 fucking bands on a loop, okay? So name 25 metal bands. I swear you're going to get 15 right off the bat. Your first 15 bands are there. Think about it. Metallica, Wasp, Iron Maiden, Black Sabbath, Megadeth. That's 5. Let's go for
Judas Priest.
Judas Priest. Thin Lizzy.
Sorry,
Thin Lizzy, Van Halen.
St. Vitus?
No.
Probably not.
No, not
They're
St.
not
Vitus.
big enough.
That's it. Dawkin. Fuck, Jimi Hendrix. Jesus, how can we forget Jimi Hendrix?
Motley Crue.
So that's 10. Motley Crue, 11.
Did you do Guns N' Roses?
Oh, fuck yeah. Guns N' Roses, 12. Rat, 13. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It took us 30 seconds to come up with half of that. It's the same fucking jive over and over again. And it's like, it's really good. I can't listen to Paradise City anymore. I can't.
You know, I love, well, especially Sabbath. I mean, I like most of the bands that you just said, but when I listen to metal, I'm listening to like Sleep and Church of Misery and I don't know. I'm listening to a lot of newer stuff. Yob, oh god, hell yeah, Yob.
Their new album's coming out on my birthday this year, man. I'm looking forward to it. Out on Relapse.
Electric Wizard. I mean, I tend to like my metal heavy and slow. I like doomy, I like stoner, and I also really like sludge stuff. Like I Hate God, Buzz
sure.
Oven, and yeah, ooh, I love those bands. I've seen them a million times. Yeah. Okay, anyway, we're way off track here.
All right, let's go into the news, man. We started with news, but this is the way it goes.
Well, new releases. Speaking of bands that are on that show, is the Judas Priest Firepower. Have you watched that video or listened to any of that yet?
I've listened to the 2 singles. Yeah. I'll let you speak first.
Well, okay, it's the 18th studio album. I saw in some article or review about it saying that it sounds like exactly like a Judas Priest album after they've been doing it for 50 years. It sounds like it's supposed to sound like a band that's been doing it for 40 years, however long they've been together.
Fair.
So I like it. I like it better than that last one, Redeemer of Souls.
Redeemer of Souls, yeah, sure.
This one's better. In my personal opinion, I like it. I like it better. I think it's a little more driving, a little more Judas Priest. But
no, not but. Listen, I listened to, a minute and a half of both the singles. Yeah. And, I mean, he can't hit the high registers and that's fine. He's able to work with, within what he works in. But, no, man, I don't know. It sounds maybe too polished. Is that what the deal is?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It sounds like Judas Priest sounds like a band that's been doing it for 50 years is supposed to sound like. That's true. But there's a certain polish. Like, for me, the album, obviously, Painkiller, everybody went over the top. But I liked what came after that also, Nostradamus. It came out like in this box set. Yeah. And that wasn't nearly as heavy as Painkiller was. But... And again, it was a concept, this entire concept all around Nostradamus. And at that point, Halford was already kind of losing his voice. So he wasn't hitting those big notes, but it doesn't matter because he made the voice, he shaped the voice into, that operatic thing that doesn't have to hit the falsetto all the time.
No, and he doesn't need to do that anyway. As you get older, I never complain about...
He's Rob fucking Halford. He can do what he wants.
He can do whatever the fuck he wants. But it was interesting that you said overproduced, because I think the same thing. And in the articles, they announced this album in, 2016, and it was maybe supposed to come out in 2017.
Okay.
So that means people have been fucking with it in production for way too long, and I think you can hear it. Like, I like my metal raw and
there's a certain crunch. It sounds like it's got too much polish for my taste. But
me too.
But if you take a look at the posts on the Vinyl Junkies forum, people are liking it. People are really liking it a lot, and everybody, it seems to be unanimous. Everybody seems to think that yes, it's better than Redeemer of Souls was.
I will definitely buy it, and I'll listen to it, and I'll love the shit out of it. They don't have to do what they were doing before. No band does.
Of course not.
I hate, but it does. It's a little slick for me, for my personal taste. But I'll buy it, and I'm Halford, whatever.
I'll tell you why I won't buy it.
Why?
Because I already have 12 Judas Priest records, and they've said enough during that time for me to be able to appreciate with the time I have left. I'm not sure I need to go any further with it. And that kind of happened with me with Slayer as well. Okay, that album, the last one there, with the song Repentance, I love the Slayer videos. I really do. You know, very violent. I love the idea of this farewell tour, but it's not Slayer without Jeff Hanneman, and it's not Slayer without Dave Lombardo. And even then, it was getting long in the tooth. I mean, I followed them. One record beyond the Slayer vinyl box set there, the Vinyl Conflict, which is, what was the last one? I forgot. You know, so let's say, you know, the first 13 Slayer records, and then at one point I saw him at this festival here, and it just switched on. You know, this is really great, but Jeff's not on stage, man. Dave's not on stage. It's just, it doesn't feel the same anymore. It doesn't.
Yeah, it's like the Ministry thing. I kind of stopped buying them after, I guess, maybe Psalm 69. But I'll probably buy this new one. I'm interested.
I bought the other one. What's the one with the flag and the blood? And I bought that one too. Yeah. Is it Filth Pig? Is that the one?
Filth Pig.
Yeah,
yes.
Filth Pig. Yeah,
it's Filth Pig. I don't have that one, and I wouldn't mind having that one. But it's the same thing with Slayer. You know, I have a bunch of Slayer. I have some original, delicious Slayer. But I'm not, and I like that new song, that new album, but I'm probably not going to do it. It's not that I'm done. I just have other stuff, and
There's other stuff. There's other stuff. That's what the deal is, you know?
Yeah.
Hey.
Okay.
Go on. What's next?
You ready?
What else is in the news, Kym? That's going to be my big line.
New releases. I'm going to mention this one because I see it popping up in Vinyl Junkies a lot right now, is that Jimi Hendrix Both Sides of the Sky compilation.
What is that?
It's one of those vault clearing. It's like the third one in a series where they just like pulling out all this old stuff and making these compilations. It might be a double album.
But is it live stuff? Is it studio stuff?
I think it's both. But I listened to there's a version, and I'm not sure if it's live or not, of Muddy Waters' Mannish Boy.
Mannish Boy, yeah.
Oh, okay. Jimi Hendrix is one of those ones that we all suffer from. Oh my God, if I hear that song on the radio one more time, I'm going to drive myself into a tree.
Sure.
However, you know, you hear something like Mannish Boy, and I hadn't heard this version or whatever it was. Holy shit, it's good. Like, holy shit, it is so. I mean, it's Muddy Water. It's Jimi Hendrix covering Muddy Waters, and he's got Buddy Miles on drums. It's really, really good.
Yeah, you're going right into what I was going to say. The Hendrix that I listen to is really the Buddy Miles stuff there. The not Electric Ladyland, but the other one with Machine Gun.
Yeah,
I can see the cover and everything, but I like that, and I like. I know it gets a lot of flack, but I really like the stuff that he did with Curtis. What the fuck's his name? You know, the early stuff there.
Yeah, not Curtis Mayfield. Curtis. No. Curtis. I know who you're talking about.
That's what happens when you get old, eh? You forget the name of the albums. What's the name of that Hendrix record?
I don't know, dude. I mean, again, I like Hendrix.
Band of Gypsies, Joe Mahalik. Yes, Band of Gypsies. Yeah. That's the Hendrix I like, and I like the early stuff, which is Curtis Knight is the name of the guy.
That's it. Thank
Curtis Knight, because those records were recorded with him as a session musician, and they were supposed to be put under. They were supposed to go under the name of Curtis Knight, which he did. He went nowhere, so they cashed in immediately. Like when he died, they cashed in and they put that stuff out, and Curtis Knight started touring off, you know, the death of Jimi Hendrix. Yeah. So it's kind of like, you know, fans have these mixed feelings about it, but what I like is that it's just fucking good old-fashioned rock and roll. It's just good old-fashioned dirty rock. You know, he added this dirty thing, you know?
Yeah, it's very pure. It's very true.
Yes. Very much like... go ahead.
No, I mean, it's like the Bowie stuff, like all these compilations and unreleased stuff, and we found this live, and I can't keep up with it, so I'm not even going to try. And it's kind of like that with Hendrix, or if they get new Floyd or whatever. But
can't keep up.
That doesn't mean it's not this that. I'm a little tempted by that Jimi Hendrix just after listening to that song, and everybody's posting it because it's so good. It's really good.
The big record for me, ultimately, it's one of our clients too. It's one of our supporters, but the big record store they get is that Baby Huey, man. Baby Huey, the living legend.
Yeah.
They found some outtakes and a whole bunch of other stuff, so they're remastering it, and it badly needs it. Okay, because I have a Scorpio pressing or something. I have a pretty cheap pressing, and RunOut Groove really give it the business. So they have the original source tapes. They're gonna clean them up properly.
Yeah.
The whole thing, and with a second album of unreleased takes, and they go the whole business, Stoughton, tip-on jackets, the whole thing. It's going to be mind-blowing. Do you have that record, Kym?
I do, but I want that. Yeah, the Baby Huey story. I want this. I have a Baby Huey album, and I have a couple Buddy Miles for that matter.
There's only one Baby Huey record, The Living Legend.
Okay, that's what it is then.
Yeah,
and there were two.
No,
there's only the one.
Yeah.
Oops.
That's it.
I thought there were two for some reason. Then I guess that's what I have. Then I don't know where it is, but I have it somewhere.
The legend with that actually is that the Baby Huey record was released on Curtom, right, which was Curtis Mayfield's label, and I know that when I discovered it, just reading through the liner notes, it's like, holy fuck, man, this guy's got Curtis Mayfield's band back in him. Whoa, right? Then it's like you hear it, and I just discovered a part of that story just today. Not today, this week, I should say. The story goes that I forgot which artist saw Baby Huey performing with, I believe his band was called the Babysitters right then. And he just had this huge presence because the guy was like over 400 pounds and he would wear these dashikis. Yeah. He had a glandular problem, which is why he died as early as he did, right?
Right.
So this artist, whose name I can't remember, was just so freaked out. It's like he demanded, he knew that Curtis Mayfield was putting together Curtom, and he's there, dude, you got to see this guy perform. And he went there and really liked Baby Huey, but didn't like any of his band. So
so he used his own band.
Yeah, so that's pretty much the deal there. He just recorded him, and he never got to hear Baby Huey. Never got to hear the record. He died before it was released.
Yeah, he died quick after that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's interesting. That's. Well, we can get into RSD in a second when we get through the rest of the news.
Go for it. Take it away, Kym.
Another new release is the band Young Fathers. The album is Cocoa Sugar.
Yeah.
Sugar. Released, I guess, yesterday. So, if you don't know Young Fathers, and I kind of did a little bit, but because of this new album, I saw the cover of this new album, this Cocoa Sugar, and I was like, what the fuck is that? Because that is one of the coolest covers I've seen in forever. And I'm not going to spoil it. You guys can look it up. But so I was like, I was kind of familiar with them. I knew that they had won a prize, the Mercury Prize in the UK or whatever, for their debut album, Dead or something. I think it's Dead. And then I knew that they were going to be, they've got a bunch of tracks on the new Trainspotting, the T2, the new Trainspotting movie.
Oh, great.
I know that they're all over that too, which is cool. So they're really interesting. They're a trio from Edinburgh, Scotland. Two of them, I think, are like, one's Nigerian, one might be from Ghana, and one is a white boy from Edinburgh. And the music they do is, it's really interesting. So it's very fusiony. There's hip hop, and there's a little bit of dance hall, and there's electronic, and this new album is a lot more stripped down and maybe a little bit slower than the earlier stuff. From the songs that I've heard, and they've got a couple videos. What is that song? It's called Lord. There's a video for Lord. They're just really interesting because they have so many different influences and styles going on within their own music. I think they're kind of worth watching, and if nothing else, check out that cover and then go watch a video.
The album cover is really cool. I haven't watched any videos because I like the needle drop to kind of speak for me.
Yeah.
And actually what's ironic is, well, ironic, I don't know if that's the right word, but a fellow vinyl junkie, Jeff Way, handles all the publishing for Young Fathers.
Oh, really?
And he's the guy his company, Third Side Music, is directly responsible for putting the music in all, shows like The Walking Dead and all
cool.
this stuff.
Yeah.
And Young Fathers appearing on Trainspotting 2 is him. And
that's cool.
We keep trying to kind of hook it up because, yeah, man, I hear it. I'd like to get on it. I'd like to. It's on my radar for sure. But it's like, fuck, man, I can't get my hands on a record. So, and I don't go to record stores very often anymore. I mostly go to shop for old stuff. I don't buy new stuff too much anymore. Have you done that? No, you buy old stuff too, right?
Well, I work in a record store, so. Yeah.
Okay,
I'm on mostly old stuff, but I do buy new stuff occasionally. Yeah. I
want to hear the Young Fathers, but I don't have it. It's on my radar. Go ahead. What else is in the news?
Okay, news. Okay, well, we lost Russ Solomon, founder and guru of Tower Records. He died on. He was watching the Academy Awards. And he was apparently snarking about somebody's outfit. His wife he was drinking whiskey. His wife went to go get him another drink. When she came back, he was dead. So he died of a massive heart attack watching the Oscars.
Old too, right?
92. He was 92, so he had a good long life.
Beautiful. What a way to go.
That guy, Tower Records. Okay, before, I don't know. If you haven't seen the documentary, All Things Must Pass, there's a documentary about the history of Tower Records, and I think it might be on like Netflix or Hulu or streaming.
It's on YouTube. I'm pretty sure it's on YouTube.
It's probably on YouTube too.
Yeah.
Make sure you see it because that is a great documentary, and Russ is of course all over it because it was his baby, and it's just so interesting. I mean, like they closed down the store every week so Elton John could come and shop before they opened, and I think Elton John said when Solomon died. He's like, I could have bought half of Los Angeles with the money I spent in Tower Records.
And said so proudly.
Yeah, well, there's footage of him with like his driver / butler, valet or whatever, with just stacks of records. And he would do that like every week. He would buy everything that he wanted, which is kind of like a vinyl collector's wet dream. But yeah, so we lost Russ Solomon. Tower Records.
Pour one out, folks. We had
pour one out for the guy. Yeah.
Our equivalent here in Canada was Sam the Record Man, and Toronto and Vancouver and Montreal folks will definitely know. Very big, iconic sign, and I grew up in that place. Like the minute it is, my daughters. I tell my daughter this all the time. I tell my wife too. She freaks, right? My daughter's 11 years old, so in the 6th grade, and I remember starting to go. Downtown, taking the bus and starting to go downtown at 11 years old with my friends, and where we would go was Sam the Record Man. We just would go buy records from that age. So it's just every Tuesday back then is when the records would come out. So every single Tuesday after school, boom, straight there. And there was no list, right? You'd only know the big record because, when Power Slave came out, there was 2 minutes to midnight. So that's the only thing we knew, and we'd run. But now, of course, you have all the lists ahead of time. So every Tuesday we would go there because what the hell's coming out this week?
Or what did they get that's, like from the UK?
What's there? And you're just going there with anonymous money in your pocket, and it's like, okay, I got this $50. What am I going to spend it on today? And then there was a Boxing Day thing, which was 15% off. And dude, I'm not kidding. Boxing Day in Canada is fucking cold here. So spending, and they would have, the Door Crasher stuff, right? So they'd release, one record that cost $2.99 just to get people through the door. So there'd be these long lines around the block to Sam the Record Man, minus 20 Celsius. And we're there fucking shivering, taking time, going from like the Dunkin' Donuts to the other, just so we can stand in line 3 hours early and pick up one of these 50 door crasher prizes.
Wow. I mean, I've never been to that. I haven't been, that's not my, I've been to Tower. I went to Tower in San Francisco in the 80s when I lived there. And I got to go to the Tower in Los Angeles, the one that's in the documentary, that one that was on the corner or whatever, the real famous one. We went down there one time. I guess it was probably like 84. So I was like 14 and I saw it and I like flipping out. It's like, you have to go. I have to go. My parents are just like, man. I'm like, no, I'm going to jump out of this moving vehicle if you don't let me go into that record store.
What we're going to do.
I didn't have any money, but I went in there.
Well, look, that's the reason I told my Sam the Record Man story, because that's the only equivalent. You see, just like you've never been to Sam the Record Man, I've never been to Tower Records. So, unless it was maybe a mall outlet in Plattsburgh or something like that, nothing big, but in terms of like a real record store experience, no, that wasn't there, Look, just so that you know, I'm kind of going to let you take the driver's seat for a little while. I'll kind of answer, but I'm going to start picking some winners for our prizes. What else is in the news, Miss Kym?
Okay, so there's a Ryan Porter, who's part of the West Coast Get Down that we talked about, I guess, last week. He's releasing a 3 LP album called The Optimist, and you can listen to almost all of it on YouTube right now if you're so inclined. He's releasing it on March 30th, so it features Kamasi Washington on tenor sax.
Ooh, oh yeah.
That's Miles Mosley on upright bass, and Tony Austin on drums.
That's the fucking dream team. I stopped. The West Coast Get Down is so awesome, and I'm really happy to see how the entire scene, they're developing something. And even though these recordings were recorded in 2008 or 9 or something.
Yeah, right in there. Yeah, all of them.
I really love how it is that they're uplifting every piece of that. Because, I mean, Kamasi, when this guy tours, like he's got 20 plus people on stage, and over the years, we're watching all of them just kind of get their due, so I know Tony Austin, the drummer, Ronald Bruner Jr., another drummer, and Cameron Graves on the piano, right? And
all of them recorded all that stuff in that
Fly Low, Flying Lotus, and so on and so forth. And obviously, Kendrick really, up there. And from the jazz perspective, the vanguard is somebody like Kamasi Washington. I got to get that record. Actually, what I did was I contacted their record label and wanted to see if we can get a copy for review so that we can tell you our thoughts on it.
Well, and I'm like Sam. I want to do a needle drop to hear stuff for the first time.
Yeah.
But we're doing this and I'm researching, and so I'm actually listening to clips here and there, like I did with the Firepower before I have it.
Okay.
And the Ministry before I have it. So I listened to some stuff on YouTube from The Optimist, and it's jazz. It's your mama's jazz. It's my jazz. It is so good. So I listened to little clips of it, and then I was like, okay, this has got to go away until I can listen to it on a needle drop. Okay,
so you just basically got enough of a sample to say, all right, I'm kind of feeling that vibe. Now it's enough. I don't want to hear anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah, I found a video that was kind of like a teaser of the album, and it's got a picture of the cover, which is like this bright yellow, and he's holding his trombone. I think he's like in green ink. It's really cool.
Okay.
But so it's got a picture, and then it's got a list of the tracks. And I think the video was only like 3 minutes long, but it would highlight, it would say what track it was, and then it kind of give you a sample of that track, and then it would go to the next one and a little sample of that track. So that was a really nice way to not hear all of it before I want to hear it, but to hear a taste of it. And I was like, oh, this is going to be good. This is so good. This is really, really good. So I'm stoked about that one.
Cool. I am too. I really am. And actually, what makes me even happier now is that I can pay attention. What else is in the news? We're up to 1 hour and 4, so we got to probably...
Okay. Well, we're close. We're getting close. Okay. Right. IKEA is releasing its own record player in February of next year. It's part of a collection called Frekvens, which is a record player, party lighting, it's like party in a bag kind of stuff, and something called electronic choir. I don't know what that is, and I don't know if you're gonna have to put the turntable together.
I know there's no prototype either.
There's nothing about it, but I was like, Actually, that would be kind of cool to put a turntable together.
They're selling a brand.
They're selling a brand.
There's not even any product. All you see is bright colored cubes. They're selling a fucking brand.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe it'll be like Crosley, but it is Sweden. I don't know. Maybe they'll do it right.
No, maybe they'll do it right. I know, but it's all I'm saying is I'm paying attention, and I'd like to see it. As a matter of fact, I'd even like to try it. But let's be clear. Right now, what they're doing is they're selling a lifestyle and a brand. That's all it is. Nothing more. There's no product. It doesn't exist yet.
But I thought it was, I mean, it's worth mentioning. So, okay, the last thing we're going to talk about is Record Store Day. They released the official list. There's like 500 titles on it. Obviously, not all 500 titles will be available everywhere because they've got regional exclusive and first issue.
Kym.
And, yeah.
You know what we're going to do, Kym? We're going to have a Record Store Day episode and save it.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense? Not because I don't want to hear it. It's not because I don't want to hear it. It's actually just, it's a minute. It's an hour 5 and we're fucking crushing it, you know? And I want to pick winners. Well,
okay, kids. So look at that list and tell us what you're interested in when we do the next episode. Just kind of prepare yourself for when we do the RSD episode.
Yeah, that's going to be a conversation we're going to be able to have. And I'm looking forward actually to seeing what other people are going to have to say about the RSD episode. But yeah, I kind of had... I mean, you didn't know that, but I kind of had the idea where we would do a Record Store Day show the week before RSD.
Okay, I can do that. I've already been looking through the list, and I've got thoughts.
And I want to hear them. Do you have prayers? Thoughts and prayers. We got winners. We got winners. We got winners. Guys, thanks for sharing this stuff. Thanks so much for the support. Thanks to our sponsors like Vinyl Me Please and RunOut Groove and Stoughton and Org Music, Vinyl Style, all of you guys. Thank you, man. I love you all. Thanks for making this possible and for being so good to our people. We have a few prizes. You will be contacted. Congratulations to Rob Humphrey. You're going to be getting a prize, courtesy of Vinyl Me Please. Yay. Al Lereux, thank you very much for sharing. And what we'll do is, I believe we've already given you a prize, so we're going to give your friend who you tagged the prize instead, who is Andrew Johnson. So Andrew Johnson, congratulations, you'll be winning something. And finally, Juan Carvajal, a long Vinyl Junkies follower, he's been doing stuff for a while, is he introduced Vinyl Junkies to his friend Seth Oyer, who has commented that he's new to this and he's enjoying it. So I think probably the best way to say hello to somebody who's enjoying our programming is to give him a free record. So Juan, thank you very much. Muchas gracias for introducing us to your friend and introducing him to Vinyl Junkies. And Seth Oyer, congratulations as well. This was fun, wasn't it?
Every time.
Yeah. So next week we'll have... Do you think we're going to run out of stuff to say?
Oh, Jesus, I wish, probably people are going to wish that I would shut up about this.
You're fucking awesome. I fucking love you. I love you, and I love working with you, Kym. I look forward to the next one.
Me too.
Ciao, ciao tutti. Bye.
Bye.